Okay, so just like the title says for this story time, this is going to be about the time that I had to kick somebody out of my car while I was driving for Uber. Um, like I said in the previous video, I have a lot of stories about driving for Uber because I run into a lot of crazy people and people get in the car and get comfortable and say things and like to me or to their um the friends that they bring with them, and it's just like, oh yes, when I hear them say it, I am judging and I'm like, oh my God. So let's get started with the video. So basically, this is when I was first starting out to drive with Uber. The way that I found out about Uber was through my mom because she drove for Uber first and then she told me about it. And this was before I had even got my car or my license. Um, and so I was all pumped. I was like, yes, I'm gonna get a car, I'm gonna get it together, and I'm gonna do this for extra money because I already had a pretty good job, but I really like money. I really like to have myself some extra money just in case if I want to go shopping or whatever, if someone needs something or what have you. So I I'm driving for Uber and Lyft for a few months now at that time. And I got the hang of it and I started to pick nighttime because there are way less cars on the streets than in the daytime. And where I live in Florida, people are crazy drivers. Like, people are crazy drivers. I'm not the best driver in the world. However, I have gotten into near misses because of other people, and I do not like that, especially in the daytime. At night, it is so quiet, there's nobody on the street. So, I was driving, and I believe I was in the UCF area, not too far from my home, and I got a ride request from someone in Winter Park. So basically, I drive to them. I think it was like 15, 20 minutes away. I drive to them and I get there. And while I'm driving, I'm looking at the address. It says, um, I think the Winter Park Cancer Institute. So I go and it leads me to this big building that looks like a kind of like a hospital or whatever. And it's like it takes me straight to the front where it's the, you know how when you go to the hospital, there's this loop where you can park your car in the front, not park, but set your car in the front for a second, take out the person that needs to go to the hospital, and then go ahead and just park your car somewhere in a normal spot. So I'm sitting there, and the way that I do it is I know that the app will let your passenger know when you've arrived at the destination they've set in the phone. But a lot of times I'll not, when I first started, I didn't message anybody and I'd sit there and the app is supposed to message them to let them know, hey, your driver's here, go outside. Um, but a lot of times I ended up sitting for a very long time and they didn't see the message. So I literally, after a few times of driving for them, I literally get there and I message them directly like, okay, here's my I'm here. I'm here. Come outside whenever you're ready. So basically that's what I did. And I don't know, at the time I didn't know if it was a woman or a man because of the type of name it was. I can't remember what the name was, but I eventually found out it was a woman. So she's messaging me and she's like, no, you're not. I'm at the hospital. And I'm like, this is a side note. Here's one of my pet peeves when I'm driving for Uber and for Lyft. My One of my biggest pet peeves is when I go to pick you up. The moment I accept your ride, it shows you my exact location. It shows you where I'm going. This little map comes out and you can see where I am. You can see how close I am to you. You can see me coming. So if I make a wrong turn because of the GPS and you're looking at me, say something. Don't just sit there and be like, oh, well, she's going in the wrong direction and don't say anything to me. That irritates the hell out of me. Back on track. So she's like, you're not at the right place. I'm at the hospital. And I'm like, look, I only went wherever the GPS told me because this is the address you put in. Mind you, I cannot modify the address. When someone puts in the address of the place of where I have to pick them up from, I cannot go in and change the address. So you put in that address. You. So don't get mad at me. So I'm literally like, what the hell? Let me move this down. I'm upset because it's like what is going on? So I'm sitting here like mind you, I'm not familiar with Winter Park. I don't do anything in Winter Park. The only time I go to Winter Park is when I have passengers that I need to pick up or drop off in Winter Park. After that, I leave and go somewhere else because Winter Park streets are very narrow and I don't know what I'm doing over there. I'm not familiar over there. So she's like, "Oh, I'm at the hospital. It's on the same road." And I'm like, one thing I've learned is I do not drive around looking for the person because they're supposed to put the address in. We're not paid to drive around extra for you. I'm not paid until you get into my car. So it's like I'm not wasting my gas playing around with you. That's the reason why you're supposed to put in the correct address. So I'm sitting here like I'm not familiar with this area. I don't know how to get there. Can you get directions or can you get the address? She's like, that is the correct address. And I'm like, this is where it took me. She's like, fine, just meet me at Walgreens, which was right down the street. And mind you, the way that she was texting me, she was having a really terrible attitude. And I was like, do I want to continue with this ride or do I cancel? The nice person inside of me was like, yeah, continue the ride. Go ahead. She needs this ride. So I go to Walgreens and I park. And mind you, when you get your driver to start coming to get you, it tells you what kind of car I have, what color it is, what year. It has I believe it has a picture. Yeah, it has a picture of me and it has my license plate number. So I pull up and I park because she's not there yet. 2 minutes later, she's like, "Where are you?" Mind you, I'm driving at night. Walgreens, there are not too many 24-hour Walgreens in this area, so Walgreens was closed. There was no cars in the parking lot. So for her to ask that crap, I was like, okay, I see what time it is. So I was like, just be real calm when she gets in the car. Let's see if we can get the attitude to go away. So I pull up and pick her up at the front of the Walgreens, and I don't move the car. Me being me, I don't move the car until I figure out where I need to take you because I'm not trying to drive and be messing with my phone to find out where you need to go. So she gets in the car, first thing out of her mouth, why couldn't you find, like I'm doing the hand motions, like she didn't do it that way, but that, like for me to do that attitude, I have to do the hand motions just to show how ignorant it was. So she's like, why couldn't you find the hospital? Every other Uber driver could find it. And I'm like, I apologize. Like the whole time I was saying sorry because I was like, yeah, she had to walk to me, but I could not find her. It's not like I was lazy and like, oh no, I can't find you. I'm not looking at that GPS. No, the GPS led me to where it took me. Sorry, I'm not familiar with the area. So I'm like, I'm sorry, but that's where it took me, and I cannot find you if I'm not familiar with the area, and the GPS brings me to a certain area. So I'm sorry. So she's like, what did she say? She's like, but other drive, and I'm like, again, I'm sorry. However, I'm not familiar with this area. So if you put in an address and it takes me to one place and the actual spot where you're at is somewhere on that road and I don't live here, I cannot find you. So, and I'm like, what's the address to where I need to take you? I'm trying to blow it over and continue on and get her to her destination. So I'm like, what's the address? And of course, she didn't put in the address. That's another pet peeve of mine. When I sit here and mind you, it took me like 20 minutes to come and get her. So you have that long of a time to put in the address of where you need to go. It's all connected to your profile. So if you type in the address in your phone, it comes to my phone. So when I put, yes, I have the passenger in my car, let's go, it's going to bring up the address of the destination she's trying to get to, and we go straight there. So when it came up with no address, I was irritated because now I have to ask her, how do you spell it and everything, so I can make sure I'm taking her to the correct area. So she like pretend the address is 75th Andromeda Street or in Angelwood Way or something. And I'm like, she just says 75th Andromeda. I'm like, what? How do you spell that? And she starts spelling it, and mind you, she's still upset because of the situation. And she's like, what'd she say? She's spelling it. She's like ANDR. I just don't understand why you couldn't find where I was and every other Uber driver could. Mind you, this was third the third time that this is brought up, and I have been apologizing profusely. So at this moment, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and cancel the ride. And the reason I said that was because one, the longest ride I've ever had driving for either company has been like an hour and 5 minutes. In that hour and 5 minutes, I made 35 bucks. So my car note alone is $324 every month. My insurance is about $160. Gas, I don't even know. Gas is whatever I have to put for gas for me to move my car. So when you get in my car and have an attitude with me, and we have to be smushed in this little tiny area for however amount of time, and you have an attitude with me, and your ride is about to be more than likely less than 20 bucks, I'm not taking any crap from anybody. I'm not. I have the power to kick you out of my car nicely if you get in my car saying any kind of stuff, doing any kind of stuff that is not appropriate. This I felt was not appropriate because, like I said, I had been apologizing to her. It is not my fault. I do not live in that area, and the GPS took me to the address she put in. So, like I said, I had to apologize 3 times, and she still brought it up again. So I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and cancel the ride because as she kept her attitude kept getting worse and worse and worse. I felt my attitude getting worse and worse and worse. And so in that split moment when she said it again, I felt I imagined myself dragging her out of my car by her ugly hair. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to take it there. I'm just going to cancel your ride. And I like everything is connected to your Uber account, your Uber app. So I pick up my phone and I start just canceling the ride. And it asks you why and blah blah blah. And mind you, I don't hear her moving. I don't hear her doing anything like she's gonna get out of my car. Mind you, we have not yet moved, so we are still parked in the same spot at Walgreens. So it's not like I was driving down the highway and she could not get out of my car. We were in the parking lot of Walgreens and there was nobody else there. So she could have gotten out as soon as I said, get out of my car. I don't hear her moving. So as I'm canceling the ride, I hear no movement and I turn around slowly like, why, what are you doing? I just said I'm canceling your ride. Get out of my car. And she's like, okay, and just gets out and slams the door and I drive off so fast. Like I said, if I feel like I'm about to step out of my character because of you, you got to get out of my car. You have to. It all bets are off. I don't care. I didn't care about the rating. I didn't care about any complaints she was going to give. It's just that, and it like it's like situations where customers will complain about the worker, but they won't tell exactly what the customer was doing themselves. So I was like, let me make sure I cancel this ride and give as much information as possible. But I was like, I refuse to drive someone in my car for that little amount and they're gonna act like that. I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna catch a case for a $5 ride. So I'm like, get out of my car. I had to say it that way because I said it. There's a fly. Because I said it, like, I'm gonna cancel the ride. That means I'm not taking you. Get out in a nice way. So she didn't move. So I was like, you know what, get out of my car. And she got out. And it's like I said, it's like it's not worth it. I know some people see us as the help because we're driving them around so that we can make money. But this is my car. This car is not paid off yet. this car is $324 a month for the car note alone. So I need you to understand that when you get in my car acting any kind of way, it's not going, not like that. It's not going down. You got to get out. I'm sorry. Like, I've seen some Uber drivers deal with some stuff like that. I'm not one of them. No, ma'am. So that's what happened. I have a lot more stories just for Uber alone. Um, but this is a story about when I had to kick somebody out of my car. I didn't have to put my hands on her, but when she kept bringing up, everybody else could find me, why couldn't you? I just don't understand why you couldn't. I was like, oh, yeah, get out of my car. I could imagine myself just dragging her out of my car and the police putting me in handcuffs because I did. So I was like, it's not worth it. So that's it for right now. I'm sorry if the volume is not good because I'm recording off of my laptop and I don't know how to change anything. So literally right now, the screen is very dark because the lighting sucks and there's no light that comes with this download on my laptop, but when I go to YouTube, it lets me change the lighting and things, and that I think was the best that I could do at the moment. So hopefully I get better at this and it shows better, but I'm not buying any expensive stuff to do this. I'm sorry, guys. Unless my YouTube starts popping, which I'm pretty sure it's not. But talk to you guys later.